The biggest differential in FPL isn't a player, it's a decision, and that's going without Erling Haaland. In today's video, I'm going to show you my Game Week 1 team without the Norwegian robot, and most importantly, I'm going to show you how the rest of the team could make up for not owning the big man. So, let's get into this. Welcome back to the FPL Mowgs YouTube channel, and welcome to today's team selection video where I have gone without Erling Haaland. It's scary, I know, but it's the biggest differential player you can make in FPL from game week 1, but is it the right choice? If you do enjoy FPL content, click the like button and don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't already. That's going to take you 2 seconds to do and massively supports me at home, so I greatly appreciate that on today's video. Now I'm going to spend as quick as I can explaining some of the reasons why I think this is now a viable strategy for game week 1, but incredibly risky. We head into the FPL page here for Erling Haaland. 73.5% owned this man is for game week 1. Now if you own Haaland and he does well, that's moving you and everyone else who owns him up the leaderboards. You're not going to gain too much rank from owning the big man, but you're going to be safe with everyone else owning him. If you do not own him and he does incredibly well, you will have a bad start to the season. But if you can use the budget that we have with not buying Erling Haaland well and upgrade your squad, you can actually jump ahead of all of those pack of players owning Erling Haaland and have a really successful start to the season. But the risk is you're just not owning the Norwegian robot. Second point that I'm going to try explain really quickly is all about captaincy. Now I'm using the Night Manager's predicted points tool here. This is completely free, by the way. So click the link in the description, click this button that I'm using my mouse to show you guys here. Predicted points, completely free. By the way, I did build this team here today with the Algorithms team planner. This is a membership thing only, but you can get it for 2 free weeks and 20% off your first month if you use code FPL Mowgs with their middle tier service. But the main thing with captaincy here is, can we combat Erling Haaland close enough every single week to really make a difference here? So game week 1, Haaland is the best captain, 6.1 points predicted. Game week 2, it's Bruno Fernandes. Game week 3, back to Haaland. Game week 4, it is other players than Haaland, so obviously the Chelsea players and Gabriel. Game week 5, back to Haaland. Game week 6, we're back to no Haaland. Game week 7, Haaland. Game week 8, non-Haaland. That is 4 times Haaland's the best captain across 8 game weeks, and 4 times where other players are better than Erling Haaland for captain in those game weeks. Like, it's closer than you think, lads. By not owning Erling Haaland, you're just taking on a huge risk. So I'm going to show you right now my team I've built with this idea, with that spare money, upgrading as many players as I can to make it the most optimal team possible. And I think I've got very close. Let me know what you think in the comments, but let's get straight in to the back line. Double Arsenal defence kicks us off with David Raya and Gabriel. You're not only getting access to the best defence in the league, but the best defensive fixture run in the league for the first few game weeks. I think the double Arsenal defence is going to be incredibly popular for game week 1. And I am incredibly tempted as well to go with triple Arsenal. I've just held myself back ever so slightly with this draft since I'm owning Gabriel. He takes up 8 million of the budget. What I could do, in theory, is get Calvert-Lewin and then upgrade somebody else in the defence to another Arsenal asset, or perhaps even just go for another premium defender instead. But this is the best way to do it for me, especially when we look at the predicted points from Night Managers here. Gabriel's predicted to score the 3rd most amount of points in the game for the first 8 game weeks. And it's by some distance as well, with Alexander Isak 5 points behind him on that list. And it jumps, of course, another 4 with Bruno Fernandes, and then another 1 after that to Erling Haaland. I think it's a really viable strategy owning Gabriel this season, and double Arsenal defence I just think is absolutely elite. We look at the fixtures they've got to start things off: Coventry, Villa, Chelsea, Sunderland, Brighton, Leeds, Forest, Everton. There's going to be a lot of clean sheets in the mix there. I think a key decision with going Raya and Leno is possibly having a different goalkeeping option if I feel as though the fixture for Arsenal is a bit banal and peely and they may concede a goal. For example, we've gone with Leno here from Fulham, who has good fixtures as well for the first 8. Let's say when Arsenal play Aston Villa away, Fulham play Sunderland away, my team. That could be an okay chance for a clean sheet. When Arsenal play Chelsea at home, Fulham have Crystal Palace at home. The rest of the fixtures, in all honesty, you're going to want to play David Raya every single week, and it's most likely you will do that anyway. But I do think having that pairing and having that option is worth the extra 0.5 over a 4 million goalkeeper. We've gone with double Manchester United defence as well here. They have a great opener and great opening 2 fixtures actually to the season. Hull, Ipswich, then we go into Everton, City, Fulham, Spurs, Leeds, Bournemouth. They're great defensive fixtures. Night managers have them as the 4th best defensive run to start the season. Maguire and Diogo Dalot at both 5 million feel like really great options in all honesty. I think if Dorgu was classified as a defender, I would squeeze him in, but he's a midfielder. I just don't think he's worth it as a midfielder now. So that's the back line so far. We've got Konsa and Malik Chow to explain just here. Now, if I go on to my algorithm tool from Night Managers, I'm going to tell you the weeks in which Konsa would come in and Malik Chow would come in. So game week 3, we have Konsa. Tell you what, I'll actually be able to show you this without spoiling the whole team. Yeah, so it optimizes the team every week, this, by the way. There's 2 free weeks with the link in the description if you use code FPL Mowgs. Also gets you 20% off and helps me out at home. But game week 1, Gabriel, Maguire, Diogo Dalot. This is with no transfers, by the way. Game week 3 is when Konsa and Malik Chow come in. Konsa having Hull, Malik Chow having Bournemouth. You can see at the bottom of the screen there. Game week 4, we actually start both of them ahead of the Manchester United players, with Forest at home for Konsa and Leeds away for Malik Chow. We then have Chow for Hull at home. We have him for Coventry away. This run, by the way, for Newcastle is absolutely brilliant. You need to take note of it. Game week 7, we get Malik Chow back in as well. And game week 8, I don't think the fixtures are loading, but I can tell you in a second here for game week 7 and 8. Newcastle have Aston Villa at home in game week 7. And we're also looking at... where is Villa and Newcastle? Crystal Palace away for Newcastle in game week 8. So there are a lot of opportunities with this defence to use the players on the bench who are both 4.5 and 5 million options. I've argued previously in short form content and long form content that I think 4 million defenders are pretty much a structural decision. When you have big players like Haaland, Bruno and Gabriel in a team, that's a sacrifice you need to make because the rest of your team will just be crap. But with this, you can have more usable players as a whole squad, and I think you get access to more sort of premium fixtures with that extra money. But with the lack of Haaland, it is a risk, of course. I think this is one of my favourite defences to build, and even when I'm picking Erling Haaland, I tend to put Gabriel in, I tend to put Maguire and Diogo Dalot in, and then the goalkeepers and bench options normally change according to budget. For me, this is probably one of my favourite defences to build right now in FPL, but let me know in the comments what you think. Let's move up now to the midfielders though, because we've made some serious upgrades. Bruno Fernandes is the only reason that this draft works, and I explained it very well within the first section of this video where I spoke about captaincy, because you're going to want a good captain every single game week. Bruno Fernandes is the best captain 3 out of the next 8 game weeks, with game week 4 the only exception, with Gabriel and Chelsea assets just about beating him and Haaland for the game week. When you can 50-50 all captaincy decisions against Haaland and your own team, I think the strategy becomes viable. What it also means is Bruno Fernandes is the most important player in this team. He plays 90 minutes, he has penalties, he has set pieces, he is so important not only to this team but to Manchester United. For 12 million, I really like Bruno Fernandes. I really, really do. He has to be in this team for it to work. When I was building my team with the Night Manager's algorithm and optimizing it, Florian Wirtz at the bottom of your screen here wasn't actually picked by them, but it had 0.5 in the bank. Now, the reason for this is because Dominic Szoboszlai just about pips him by 0.3 points. I think it's worth personally, in my opinion, to take Florian Wirtz over Dominic Szoboszlai right now in FPL. I'm seeing him taking set pieces. He's having a really great pre-season with Iraola, and I think the key thing here is Iraola could really unlock this type of player. I think at Bournemouth we see an incredibly attacking number 10, and I think Florian Wirtz is that. I think he's going to partner so well with Alexander Isak, and both of them are going to have an incredible season under the new Liverpool manager. We head next into Antoine Semenyo. When we look about total expected points for the first 8 game weeks, I'll show you just a preview here as well. 34.3 expected points in the first 8, and Buemo just behind. It was unlucky not to join in with this draft today, but overall just a really great pick. And I think playing off the left and right in pre-season, getting quite a lot of assists as well. I believe it's is it 3 assists? I've got to check my notes here. No, 5 assists, sorry. 5 assists in 3 pre-season starts from left and right wing. I think his minutes are going to be really solid this season. And with Semenyo also leaving the club, he was only going to take a few minutes off Semenyo, but I think the potential of him this season is incredible, especially, considering under a new manager, you're going to want to impress, but also everyone's doubting him because he's going to be playing wider. How is getting 5 assists in 3 preseason games sort of a negative for that? Cutting the ball back and getting back to sort of the basics of what Pep had for Manchester City in the initial stages, cutting the ball back, going to the touchline, cutting it back, scoring. I think Semenyo is a really great pick. You got access to the best attack and run in the first 8 game weeks with Manchester City, and I think you need a City asset in there, in all honesty, to combat Erling Haaland. Not just for captaincy, because I don't think Semenyo really gets close with captaincy to Bruno quite often, but as a vice-captain, he's really solid as well. Iliman Ndiaye completes the starting midfielders here. I just think it's so worth considering him. We know he's on penalties now. His expected data has absolutely shot through the roof, and there was an article wrote by the Night Manager's founder, Sam Harwood, speaking about sort of the potential of Iliman Ndiaye. Let me find the list of expected points for midfielders here, and I think I can explain it a little bit better using this here. Iliman Ndiaye is expected 27.6 points to start the season. We then find, where is he? There's a few different options ahead, but I think it was Morgan Rogers. So 27.6, Rogers 23.5. The Night Manager's algorithm noticed that Morgan Rogers is owned by 27% of managers, whereas Ndiaye is much less. I think you can save a lot of money with the 6 million asset in Ndiaye with penalties for Everton over a lot of the other premium options. I think he can get quite close with his points total. Everton got good fixtures as well. Palace, Bournemouth, Manchester United, Spurs, Ipswich, Hull. And then we've got Chelsea and Arsenal. If you can jump off them in game week 6, just before Chelsea and Arsenal, the fixtures actually are really, really great for the first opening 6 game weeks. I think he's a brilliant option, and so is Alex Iwobi on the bench. I absolutely love putting this man into my drafts. You will never stop me at home, and stop complaining that I'm putting Fulham assets in my side. I know everyone's doubting them this season, but I am not. I'm going with the data, and I'm going with how good of a team they actually are on their day. He doesn't offer too much value within this particular squad until the later game weeks, but is an option to start in game week 2 and 3 when he has Sunderland and Crystal Palace. In game week 6, 7 and 8, he's got Ipswich, Hull and Coventry. That's where a lot of the predicted points total is coming from with Fulham assets. But I think with game week 2 and 3, he still offers you value there, but with such a stacked team, it's really hard for him to get in there. But yeah, that is the midfield. I think we've built an incredibly strong one here. Wirtz, Semenyo, some of my favourite picks right now. And Ndiaye, such a good cheap option with Iwobi as my favourite 5.5 right now. I am so sorry, Granit Xhaka. Now, instead of Erling Haaland, who have we put in the team? Alexander Isak is the closest we can get with the money to Erling Haaland, and I don't think he's too bad of an option to kick off the season. The fixtures are absolutely fantastic for Liverpool. Newcastle to start the season against his old club is going to be hostile, but a really great game. Forest, Ipswich, Fulham, Bournemouth, City, Brentford, Brighton. They're really great fixtures for Alexander Isak, and attacking fixtures also for Liverpool. So that's why I've got Isak and Florian Wirtz in the same particular draft. I think if we take a look at the night manager's predicted data and understand out of all the forwards, Haaland is by far the best one, by far. But can we build up the deficit with the extra money and upgrade other positions enough to make up for that? Isak, 35 expected points in the first 8. João Pedro, 31.6. And then we have Calvert-Lewin with 28.2 at only 6 million. When I'm looking at my team here and optimizing it with the algorithm, you can get access to this, by the way, for free for 2 game weeks. If you choose to use code FPL Mowgs at checkout. To give night managers their flowers, by the way, the 29th best FPL manager uses their tools, 80% in the top 50k last season and 40% in the top 15k. All you'd have to do is click view prices and plans, click this button here, and it's going to take you to a page where you can enter code FPL Mowgs in this little box here, FPL Mowgs, and you're going to get 20% off your first build month. But to get back to my team, if we can go back here, algorithm, let that load. Perfect, my team's come back. João Pedro in game week 4 is one I want to speak about as the captaincy option against Hull at home. Obviously, this team is with no transfers just yet. I haven't put them in for this particular video, but, you know, there are options, especially in this week, to go Bruno Fernandes to Palmer and captain him instead. And in fact, let's have a look at game week 4. For all players. I think it's actually Gabriel that comes out on top, but João Pedro and Palmer are incredibly close, in fact on the same number of expected points for that game week. So I think that's what makes João Pedro a more viable option now, this week in particular. But sort of to get back to the team and speaking about it as a whole, I think you've got a great option in João Pedro, especially with that game week 4 captaincy. Isak, I think, will have an incredible season at Raiola. I think once that fitness is built and the good fixtures come out, he's just going to be so great, I think. His finishing's unbelievable, by the way. Everyone obviously just forgot he existed really last season. But I think he'll have a great time this time round. Calvert-Lewin, the best value striker in the game at 6 million. And sort of the rest of the team just works well. You're taking that spare money, you're upgrading other spots, you have captaincy covered for most game weeks, and if not, you're getting incredibly close to Erling Haaland, and you just have such a good team for the future. The rotations work incredibly well with this side, and you have options on the bench to come in when they play newly promoted sides and weaker oppositions. I think this is an incredible team to start game week 1 with, and the biggest differential you can make biggest differential decision you can make to start game week 1 is going without Erling Haaland. Algorithm models are starting to leave him out, and I understand why, but it's the biggest risk you can take. You have to be careful with this. I don't even know if I'm brave enough to do it from game week 1, but it does look strong. Let me know what you think of this team in the comments, and if you think No Haaland is actually a viable strategy. With just 7 days until the FPL deadline for game week 1, I'm going to be making much more FPL content for you at home, so make sure you're looking out for that on this channel. If you did enjoy this video today though, make sure you go ahead and drop a like, and if you're not subscribed already, click that subscribe button for future FPL content and FPL streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.